Let's begin. So for this video, we had to create the passing of packages of arbitrary size as well as handling duplication. So to start off, when it comes to the creation of everything, we have to send over the size, wait for an ACK. Once we get the ACK, we will loop through our list, serialize each individual item in our list, and then send it on over. On the server side, we're doing the opposite at that time, where we're receiving the size. Because we don't have any of the items yet, we have to create a new one for each one that's passed in. So we receive them and then deserialize them on this side before pushing them onto the list. And then once that is done, we will be reversing it and then passing it through doing what the client just did. So it will send over the size on the server side, serialize each of the server's items, and then send them to the client, where the client will be patiently waiting. It will receive the size. It doesn't need to make new ones since it already has the items, so it'll just receive them and then deserialize. For the sending of messages on the client side and on the server side, because these are both handled exactly the same, we create the initial type and index of our payload, of our header, of the packet header. Once we do that, we can then define the size of the payload based on what type it is. So size, it is just a size of int. Well, if it's size, it will be passed in with the data length of int. And then after that, we can serialize in the data buffer to the source. Once that is said and done, we send it over to the client side or send it over to the server, depending on which side we're on. And then if the type that we are sending is not an ACK, we also need to wait for an ACK from the opposing side. So for both of them, we will be moving on to the receive message. So for receive message, we loop through until we find a header that is of the type we're looking for, has the index we're looking for, and is also not a duplicate packet, or in this case, is an original packet. We define an original packet by one whose header index is not the same as the last index we found. If they're the same, that means it's a duplicate. There's no other way around it because these are going to be incrementing. So we just say that we've received a duplicate packet, and this will have us loop around back to our receive call, and we'll just keep looping until we find a packet that is of a different index. After we do that, we can extract the data from the packet. So based on what size of what data type we get, that determines how we're extracting. So if it's a size message, then that means we have a size of int for the data length, and that's how we can get the data buffer details from the source. If it is of size item, then the data length is based on the size of the header detail that it gave us, so the header detail size. We then can get the data buffer after offsetting using that. And then we also update the last index to be of the index we just got. And once that's said and done, if we receive something that is not an ACK, we also have to send an ACK to the server. So if we receive a size from on the server side, we send to the client that we found the size. We have to send them the ACK and wait for that back. And then on the client side, we have the same thing of sending over the ACK whenever we receive something. And that's it.